Alrighty, good afternoon. Exactly 12:31 on the clock. It is still your favorite show, the midday show right here on Lagos Talks 91.3. A terrific Thursday one that is quite sunny and boisterous. Now we are about to commence with parenting today. As you all know, I love to mention the fact that when it comes to parenting, we have to be making sure that we're doing our best. However, is our best really enough? And if you and I, who both know no one is perfect, we're being honest. Let's not lie to ourselves. We could do with as much help and knowledge and expertise as we can gain. And that is why this show is amazing, and it is for you. You might not be a biological parent. You might be an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent, or a guardian. Nonetheless, you have to play your role, because as anyone who's presiding over the affairs of a child, you have to make sure that that child is being raised the best way possible. And that's why we have Parenting Today. Parenting Today is that show where someone who's amazing, a parenting expert, is going to be here to tell us what to do and what not to do. So we're learning and unlearning. We're walking away from what's not right and heading towards what's better. Okay, with that being said, I have my co-host who's joining me virtually, none other than the amazing and beautiful CEO of Lagos Moms, aka Global Moms, aka Parenting Expert, Miss Yetty Williams. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm always so pumped up when I know I'm going to speak with you. I don't know why. It was great to have you here. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you.
All right.
Good to be here again.
I am happy to have you here. Now, for today's topic, we're going to be focusing on gratitude. And the topic for today is how to raise grateful children in a world of instant gratification. Miss Yetty, this couldn't be more apt. It is so true. We live in a world where, for those who are privileged enough to get everything that they want, sometimes we just get carried away and we might not practice as much gratitude. And for those who are still wanting to instill gratitude into their kids, I really want to know, what does this entail? Raising grateful children in a world that's filled with instant gratification.
Yes. Well, you said something now. You said when people that maybe have everything they need or they want, how can they still be grateful?
Yes.
And I think it's not even so much about people that necessarily have everything that they want.
Okay.
But just the fact that there's an idea now that, everything is instant. It should be quick. Everybody else seems to, quote and unquote, have what you don't have. And because we now seem to live in a world that gratifies or celebrates, that hustle culture. They have hammered, they have arrived, right? Everything is about having the new shiny thing or presenting that you have, the new shiny thing in your world, in your life. And we're going to talk about social media and how that really exacerbates this situation. So this instant gratification, it's almost like a culture. It's a behavior now that cuts across class. So that's why I wanted to just highlight that it's not even only about the people who don't have. Obviously, people that are, who are really needing much more support, or, they're not having 3 square meals a day. Obviously, they're very thankful that they even have any food at all. People that don't have a home or a bed to call theirs. Of course, they're very grateful when people help them and, provide what they don't have. But what I'm also finding is that it's now like a behavior pattern where people expect things to be immediately available, or they're comparing themselves to others, so that even when they have 1, 2, or 3 things, they're looking at the person that seems to have 10 things, and then they're comparing themselves. And we see that this continues to happen. So even very, quote unquote, comfortable people, some of them are never fully satisfied because they're always looking at more, looking at, it's not good enough. Oh, even though I have a big house, in Banana Island, what about that person that now has a house in, I don't know, in Miami or something?
Yeah.
So that's what I want to talk about, is that idea, because of social media as well, this idea of instant. Now, if you put something up, you want them to like it immediately. If they don't like your post immediately, you are feeling, is it that my post wasn't good enough? Maybe I didn't use the right filter. oh, not like me anymore. So there's that idea now that's permitting almost every single age group, every class, that idea of instant, now, quick, now. If I don't have it now, there's a problem. If I don't get it now, there's a problem. That's the one that we're talking about. And how do we raise children who are growing up in a world where everything is instant?
Wow. All right. Thank you so much, Miss Yetty. I love the fact that you're also putting in play the fact that we live in a world where everything seems to be happening faster than some of us wish it was sometimes. So, instant gratification is a thing. Now, so you made mention of social media playing a role. People go on different social media platforms and see how others seem to be living the life that they wish they had. For parents who are worried at this point, they're thinking, okay, one of the ways to avoid this, should I take my child off social media? Although they know that, with time, they're going to get back on there. So is that really a long-term solution? But I want to know your take on how we can shield children from, just seeing the grass is always green on the other side via social media.
Yeah, this is work that everybody has to, take part in, really, because, we raise children in a family and in a home, but there's so much external influence as well, both that's directly, that you are directly thinking about, and those that are subconscious.
Okay.
So let me talk about the subconscious. The subconscious is whether or not your child is on social media, what are the people around them celebrating? Are they celebrating the uncle or auntie who just show up with a lot of money all of a sudden? You don't know how they made it, but just because they seem to have arrived, they're being celebrated. But if you ask maybe your niece, your daughter or son who, that's their uncle or auntie, and maybe you're talking about what they do for work, you might not even know what they do for work. So you might not be able to say, oh, this person is very successful because they are a fill in the blank. Sometimes people don't even know how they came about that money. But I feel that we're almost in a culture now that celebrates the fact that you have just arrived and you have hammered. However you arrived, however you quote and unquote did that hammering, people are not really asking questions. They're just celebrating the person that seems to be successful.
Wow.
So that's a subconscious that children around, they're picking it up now. If every time they turn on the television, adults around them are talking, and what they're constantly getting is that idea of it's all about how much money you have and how successful you are, then that's affecting that child's perception of what success looks like. Right? So that's the subconscious. Then the conscious is in the house itself. What are mom and dad always celebrating?
Oh, okay.
Like what are you always talking about? What are you celebrating? At your dinner time table, are you talking about the latest shoe, the latest bag? That person whose hair looks like they got it from, I don't know, the most expensive wig maker. Exactly. What are the conversations you are having at home? Or are you still having conversations at home that are deep, that are about integrity and values and kindness and saying thank you and having a plan? I talk a lot about having a parenting vision board, because when you have that vision board for your child, for each child, then you can check. It's like a curriculum. I call it a curriculum. Because when you have a curriculum that you're using when you're in school, if you're about to do SSS or common entrance, the topics you have to cover to pass that exam. It's the same thing with parenting. It's an 18-year journey.
Really? So right? I'm just sorry to cut you short. I'm just finding out for the first time that there should be a parenting curriculum. There's something like that.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow. Thank you. And I'm writing that down. Thank you. Because I never knew. Wow.
Yes, it's something I actually teach. I call it PVB, Parenting Vision Board. It's an exercise. And, a lot of these things I put out into the world, I've used it. And, like I said, my children are teenagers now, and so I've had a decade, between creating this, using it for my children, and the children in my life, nieces, nephews, godchildren, talking to, in fact, hundreds now, it's not thousands of parents. So combining all of that, I see a lot of patterns. I see a lot of patterns. And one of the things that's very clear is that, when you look at what social sciences is really looking at human beings, how we are socialized, how we behave, what influences us, and then trying to put a science, if you will, around it. So that's where, in my mind, this parenting curriculum comes in place, because it can be, science is based on what? Data, right? There's hypothesis, there's fact, you're analyzing. But somehow, when it comes to some of these most important things in our lives, like marriage, like parenting, we don't ever really analyze it and say, let's look at all the data around us. What is worth emulating? What is worth copying? And what do we need to stop doing so that we can actually grow and not be carried by our ego and emotion that says, are you trying to say that I'm not a good parent? The truth is, maybe you're not.
Oh, wow. No parent ever wants to hear that or admit it, but there's certain times one would feel they're not doing things right and they're not parenting properly. Miss Yetty, so I have a question for you. When you talk about, raising grateful children, is it one that entails instilling gratitude in them, or showing them examples, or just I don't know, like, what are the steps one can take? I know we have a break in about 2 minutes, but if maybe after the break we can elaborate extensively on that. I want to know ways that we can actually make sure that gratitude is instilled in our kids. But for those parents who feel like, oh, you know what, I feel like my kids are grateful, but there's always the demand for more. What would you tell such parents when they're trying to allow their child know, I'm doing my best, and hopefully, even if my best is not enough, you understand?
Right. So, that sense of gratitude and whether or not you're doing, enough or not, that's all.
Hello, ma'am. Miss Yetty. All right. While we wait for the network to get back on.
Saying please.
Sorry. So we lost you for a minute.
Oh, okay. I was saying the importance of politeness in the house.
Okay.
That's a beginning point. So a child who is raised knowing that they should be saying thank you. They should be saying please. They should be showing appreciation from a very young age on the little things. That is the building block for when your child gets to that point where they're actually being influenced by peer influence, by social media. It depends on what the grounding has been, because those external factors will come. The question is, what have you done for the building blocks so that they already have a grateful heart, a grateful attitude? So that they don't then become people who are, who can never be satisfied because they always want more, and then they are unsatisfied with what they actually have.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much for that. Contentment remains key. Thank you for highlighting that. Now, it is time. Oh, thank you. It is time for us to go over to the phone lines. If you're listening, you're a parent, you want to do better, you want to know better, right? This show's for you. If you want to be a part of the conversation, you have questions you want to ask, kindly do so. We have about 6 minutes left on the show. You can call on any of these numbers for those who want to have a chat with Miss Yetty and I. 0809 234 5913. I'll take it again. 0809 234 5913. If you want to call another number, you can call on 0809 222 0913. And lastly, a landline number you can call us on 01515 1913. For those who want to join via X, also known as Twitter, the handle is at Lagos Talks 913. Kindly use the hashtag parenting today so we know that's directed towards us. And if you want to call, send a voice note or a message via WhatsApp. The WhatsApp line 0809 234 5913. So Miss Yetty, very quickly, I would love to kindly beg of you if you can just tell us, we can breeze through the necessary steps we can, take, and what measures we can put in place as regards harnessing gratitude in our kids.
Right. So I guess just to kind of summarize and bring it all together is just to realize that raising grateful children is something that parents can intentionally start doing at home. Okay. So that can, put a little bit of a barrier away from some of the external influences that come in because of the instant gratification world that we live in. So some of the things parents can do right from home is making sure that even from when your child is a toddler, teaching them to say thank you, teaching them to say please. Those little words go a long way. And it's like a muscle where you're building your child's gratitude muscle, right? So they're constantly thankful. And then when you also have people that live in your house who are maybe domestic staff working for you, I find that's another angle parents can really use to teach their children to be grateful, not just to parents who give you things, right? Food, toys, birthday presents, and all of that, but also people in your house that are quote unquote serving you, serving your parents.
Oh, wow.
If you teach your children to be polite to them, you are teaching them about gratitude across classes, across, what they are getting from different people. So that's one very practical step most parents can take.
Oh, wow.
And I know for some people, they might think, but before uncle, but you'll be surprised how many children don't actually say thank you for food when their nanny gives them food or the cook gives them food. You'll be amazed how many children don't really say thank you if their parents give them a present, but it wasn't what they were expecting. Then they won't really say thank you or be grateful because maybe they were looking for an iPhone 13 and mommy dared to give them, iPhone 10, things like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah?
Okay. But I want to ask a quick question. In on the part of a child who seems to, just not be as grateful as they ought to be, would you say there is some blame on the part of the parents as regards nurturing entitlement, within this kid?
Overall, I always err on the side of saying that no child is born the way they are. Yes, there's nurture, there's nature. So, for example, a child who's more of an introvert versus an extrovert, you didn't make that child an introvert. Neither did you make the child an extrovert if that's their natural nature. So that's a bit of a separation. You can't really make a child extroverted or introverted. But when it comes to things like the attitude of gratitude, saying thank you, being grateful, that is something that is nurtured. So if a child is ungrateful, that child learns that as well.
Wow. Okay. Wow. So the parents do have, some of the blame to get in the end.
I don't want to call it it's not a blame game.
Let me put it this way, for lack of a better word. I wouldn't say it's a blame, but more like a shortcoming on their part. It might be unintentional though, but it's a shortcoming on their part.
It's a shortcoming on the home environment. Sometimes it's the home environment.
Okay.
Maybe parents are not even in tune. Maybe mom is a very grateful person. Say thank you for food, thank you for this. But then maybe dad is the one who just like, yeah, whatever. And maybe he is not grateful. He doesn't thank anybody for anything. Because it feels like I'm
in charge. I'm the man of the house.
In charge, and I should just be able to back my way through everything. So sometimes you need to just do an analysis and say, actually, I was thinking about it. Are my children quite grateful? Are they content? Or are they always looking for more, saying somebody else has something, things like that? You want to then start thinking what might be happening. Sometimes maybe parents are giving the children too much.
All right.
So the child might also not be able to learn gratitude because you are bombarding them with too many goodies.
And they just feel it's the life, is a right, they're entitled.
So they now don't even get that sense of working for something, waiting for it, being very thankful. If you can afford everything in the world, doesn't mean you should give your child everything they ask for. You're destroying that ability to delay gratification and to wait.
Wow. Thank you for highlighting that. It is so true. Just knowing that some kids, even, they just get whatever it is they want. They never get to know. And I want to ask Miss Yetty, I once heard in church, I know we're going to wrap up in a few minutes, but I once heard my pastor's wife say, if you want your children to be content, ask them to write a list of about 10 things they want. Now, from that 10, decide to give them 5 and deny them 5, even if you can give them all 10. And I wondered, is this a good way of, harnessing contentment in a child?
Why a list of 10? I mean, I don't know the context of that, but why would it be a list of 10?
Because she meant maybe for Christmas, like, write all you want for Christmas, something like that.
Okay. No, I think it's a strategy. It's a strategy that your children shouldn't just feel that they can ask for whatever. Even up to today, I do with my children when it's like, birthdays are coming up, I'll ask them a few months before, let me know and let me have an idea of some of the things you would like. I don't give a number, but it's the same principle. What are some of the things you would like? and then we pick one. But because they have aunties and uncles who are going to ask what they want, I then take that list and I share it with aunties and uncles. But we look at the list together. If anything there is unreasonable, I take it out. I'm like, no, this is a bit unreasonable. How much is that? That's a little bit too much for your age. What do you want to do with that? So we have those kind of conversations. I don't just let them list whatever in the world they want and then I now pick anything from it and pass it on to grandma, auntie, uncle. No. We have to be within context. Is it appropriate for you? Is it, price wise? Is this price something that a child of your age should be using something so expensive? So those are some of the conversations we then have.
Wow. Thank you so much, Miss Yetty. You're amazing. Thank you for all that you do. I like to remind you, thank you for everything that you do as regards parenting. Someone says, okay, Joe here. He sent a voice note. If you don't mind, can we just play quickly and then we'll wrap the show up?
Yes.
Hello, good afternoon, ladies. A very great topic you're talking about today. Gratitude as against, instant gratification, which is really a problem to society. And I also want to say from the perspective of gratitude as against entitlement. A lot of kids today are raised in such a way that they feel entitled to certain things. Yes, you might be entitled, but show gratitude. We live in a day and age where a parent is going to give, a child food, and the child wouldn't even say thank you. And you see people out there actually defending that action and saying that it is a responsibility of the parent to give food to the children. Yes, it's their responsibility, but gratitude is one thing that should be a part and parcel, no matter whether you're entitled to it or not, because there are parents out there who ain't taking care of their kids. So if yours are, able to do that, you should be able to show gratitude, because when that entitlement sets in, when the child goes out in society, the child feels is entitled to anything. And once you live a life of less gratitude, you will get less, especially from people who now are giving you voluntarily. So we should be able to teach children and do away with the, modern philosophy that, they are your parents. So paying your school fees, giving you food and all that, it's kind of, an entitlement, and you don't need to say thank you about that. So I feel that should also be in perspective. Thank you.
All right, that's from Joe. Thank you so much, Joe. Very wise words. Thanks for your take on this. Miss Yetty Williams, I know you have to run. For those who want to carry on with this conversation and learn more about parenting, how can they possibly do so right after the show?
Yes, I mean, what Joe said was absolutely critical. Nobody should feel that because it's your right, then I shouldn't be grateful for it. That behavior will not take you very far, no matter what area of your life. But in terms of getting in touch with me, please visit our website, lagosmoms.com. That has a lot of articles around parenting. And then on social media, you can follow us at Lagos Moms on Instagram, on Facebook, and on Twitter. Thank you so much, Paula.
All right. Thank you, and have an amazing weekend. All right. Thank you so much, Miss Yetty Williams. All right. This is Parenting Today every Thursdays from 12:30, of course, up until 1 p.m.